Hello, folks. How are you? I want to thank the business leaders for joining us today, as well as members of my cabinet and the White House team. Before getting an update from my supply chain task force, I want to say a word about the progress our economy's made this year and how my administration will continue to tackle the cost increase that American people are facing. In the end of 2021, with what one analyst described as the strongest first-year economic track record of any president in the last 50 years, nearly 6 million new jobs, a record number for a new president because of my staff and my cabinet. Unemployment down to 4.2%, 3 years ahead of the predicted time it would take to get to that number. Applicants for new small businesses up 30%. Compared to before the pandemic, and the fastest economic growth in nearly 40 years. There's more as well. Today, America is the only leading economy in the world where household incomes and the economy as a whole are stronger than they were before the pandemic, even accounting for price increases. The economy I inherited nearly a year ago wasn't just in crisis, it wasn't working for working people. I told you that's the reason I ran. It's about time the middle class and working class people got a shot. Year after year, economic growth was too low, wages for the middle class were stagnant, and the number of people starting new small businesses was declining. Over this year, we've acted, from the American Rescue Plan to the bipartisan infrastructure law, to change this trajectory, to build an economy from the bottom up and the middle out. And to finally give, and by the way, when that occurs, wealthy people do very, very well. We're not trying to punish anybody. They do very well. Working people in this country, the wages and benefits they deserve, is about time they start to see it. To create an economy with more innovation and faster growth. And we're making progress. We got a way to go. We're making progress. Still, top of mind for me is what is top of mind for so many families. The pinch of prices and the cost. Look, addressing these costs has been and will continue to be my top priority the entire administration. And the way to do this is not to slow down our economic turnaround, not to step back from all this progress, but to build on it. We can and we will address prices by expanding productivity capacity in our economy so we move more goods to market. Get more Americans working, encouraging more investments in innovation, and making sure American consumers see those benefits at the store and at the pump when they go to fill up their cars. Let me describe 3 specific areas I'm focusing on. First, supply chains, and I owe a lot to the people, the business people on this call, on this Zoom. Earlier this fall, we heard a lot of dire warnings about supply chain problems leading to a crisis around the holidays. So we acted. A lot of recommendations of the people that you see on the screen here. I wish we were all able to do this in person. We brought together business and labor leaders to solve problems. And the much predicted crisis didn't occur. Packages are moving. Gifts are being delivered. Shelves are not empty. Experts in this field look at 2 statistics for retail inventories, which is how many good retailers have on hand, and a phrase on-shelf availability, which measures how many goods are actually on the shelves there to be purchased. Today, retail inventories are up 3% from last year. Inventories are healthy, and on-shelf availability before the pandemic was about 91%. Today, it's at 90%. 90%. I'm sure you can go and find some shelf where it's empty because a particular sort of gifts are very popular. I don't know. But 90% availability. And delivery times this season for FedEx, UPS, and the U.S. Postal Service are faster than before the pandemic, even as Americans have purchased a record amount of goods. This is in part due to the progress we've made at our nation's ports, which are now moving historic amounts of goods. You know, after working with our administration, the ports of Los Angeles and Long Beach have nearly cut in half the number of those great big containers you see sitting on a dock for more than 8 days. This is striking progress since November. In fact, right now, the number of containers moving through our ports is higher than ever. It's because we've sped up because when I sat down and talked with the folks running the ports and the longshoremen, they agreed to speed up every step in the process. The ports, the trains, the trucking. My bipartisan infrastructure law, there's $17 billion to speed up and modernize our ports. And tomorrow, the Department of Transportation is going to announce over $200 million in grants to ports nationwide. And we're making significant investment in freight rail as well. And we're also working to unstick bottlenecks between the ports and the stores by getting more trucks moving all around the country. We've heard a lot about the need for more truck drivers, and it's real. And we've gotten to work to address that. For example, I see Marty Walsh, my labor secretary. Marty, you've done a hell of a job, pal, cutting the red tape so that companies can set up registered apprenticeships for truck drivers in 2 days instead of 2 months, which it was before you took over. These apprenticeships are going to help new drivers get trained better and faster and help companies retain drivers in a field that has a lot of turnover. So I'm eager to hear about the new partnerships with trucking companies and states to get more truckers on the road and into good-paying jobs. We also need to build resilience into our supply chains. We can never again be left vulnerable the way we were in the early days of COVID-19. One important way to do this is to make more things here in America. That has been a goal of mine since day one of my administration. We've added more than 300,000 U.S. manufacturing jobs, more than 300,000 added since I took office on January 20th. And we're going to keep at it because the more of what we buy in America should be also made in America. The second area of protecting American consumers, take gas prices. Months ago, I saw oil production wasn't keeping up with the demand as the world started to get moving again, which could drive up prices at the expense of our consumers. That's why I work with international partners to coordinate the release of oil from our oil reserves and theirs. Now, gas prices are coming down, more than 10 cents a gallon nationally. Gas prices in 21 states now are at their historic averages before the pandemic, historic averages. That's good news for Americans hitting the road this week. But beyond energy, we need to make sure that there's a robust competition across industries. Competing is what encourages companies to innovate, encourages them to invest, to build, and offer lower prices. I'm going to be convening my competition council earlier next year, in January, to keep pushing for more bold action because healthy competition is a hallmark of healthy capitalism. Thirdly, I'm working to reduce the largest cost burdening households and budgets. And the biggest weapon, in our arsenal, it's my Build Back Better Act, which will reduce what families have to pay for prescription drugs, for health care, for child care, and so much more. The bill is paid fully paid for. It won't increase the deficit. And nobody making less than $400,000 a year will pay a penny more in federal taxes. Top economic forecasters from Wall Street firms reinforced just this week that failing to act on the Build Back Better plan will mean less economic growth this year. Let me say it again. Not a liberal think tank, Wall Street. Failing to make these investments is going to slow growth, not increase it. Look, if we in fact seize this opportunity, I think we can lower costs for families, get even more people working, and lower price pressures long term. And we're going to keep working on all these fronts because it is so clearly what American families need right now.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.